happening? My technical, I think my technical issues. But he's hearing it now. So you can hear the deal. Okay, so every Jew likes to have a deal. Okay. Good morning, everybody. We're gonna start the Tanya. So in the morning chitas, I mentioned something. Everybody got a little bit excited. I'm going to share with you something. I'm going to share you to explain, try to explain something that's almost inexplainable. But this is if you're in Chabad, you would have a color sheet. Now that you're on Zoom, you only get a black and white. Okay, I apologize to all those that are on Zoom.
Much better.
So here is where Chassidus tries to explain the concept of the neshama and the way the neshama comes down into the guf, into the body. And in front of you, you have the three boxes on the side, the left, the bottom, the left side, the right, left side and the right side are all what explains the Chassidus the 5 levels of everyone's soul. And then Chassidus explains, Kabbalah explains the 10 manifestations of God, which is also the part of the makeup of this neshama, of this soul. So Alter Rebbe started in the Tanya that we're learning. The Alter Rebbe started and explained that he started off nefesh hashenis b'yisrael chelik elaka mimal mamash. That the second soul is a chelik elaka, is a part of God, mamish, really. So that's what Chassidus explains is Yechida Shebenefesh, and that's your first level of the soul. Yechida Shebenefesh is the infinite part of the soul, and that is a part of God, and that's why the truth is nobody reaches Yechida Shebenefesh, because that is a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is a part of God, or whatever that means. But it's Yechida Shebenefesh. The majority of people, tzaddikim, reach up to the Chaya Shebenefesh. They reach up to the living soul, and that is also an unbelievable level of the neshama, which, as in your box on the right side, it says Chaya, the living one, is the world of emanation. So that's the world of, I should have put the 5 worlds or the 4 worlds over here. So the world of emanation is the flow out of the first source, which is infinite, the source of infinity. And then you have the 3 levels of the neshama, which we learn constantly in Tanya, Naran, Sheben, and Neshama, which is neshama, ruach, and nefesh. Neshama is the world of creation, or you want to call it the conscious mind. Ruach is the motions of the soul, the mechanics, as he writes over here, the left side. Or you want to have the nefesh, the physical body, which is the nefesh, the soul, the dam hua nefesh, the blood is the soul of man. So that is the dust of the earth. So you have it in the worlds on the top right, on the top left, I mean. You have Yechida is Ein Sof, the infinite part of the soul. The Chaya is the Atzil, is the world of emanation. Neshama is the world of creation. Ruach is the spirit, the world of formation. And Nefesh is the world of action. Now, yeah, you with me? Everybody, that's Kabbalah. I told you, the kids say, well, right? So again, it gets really complicated when we come to the middle of the page. And I'm not gonna, it was hard for me to find a picture, and I don't know all the English or whatever. I'm not gonna go through all these English words over here because what?
The colors are coordinated.
I have no idea the colors, and I have no idea the English words. I'm just going to give you the middle of it, which is the most important thing. So, so this is the way, ultimately, the way the neshama comes down into 10 sfirot, 10 lights, or 10 manifestations, or 10 expressions, however you want to call it. So you have Keser. Again, I don't know what this magician and Fuad, just take me out of that, okay? You have Chokhmah to the right, Bina to the left, and Das in the middle. So you have wisdom, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge is the intellect part of the soul. It's really the neshama of the soul. The neshama of the soul is comprised of 3 entities: the wisdom, his wisdom, his knowledge, and his understanding. And that's your neshama. That's the intellect part of the soul. The ruach, the spirit of the soul, is your 6 boxes in the middle. Chesed, really, it starts with chesed gevura. That's the real part of those 2 entities, is kindness and severity, love and hate, all these expressions. And then that comes out into the other 4 entities: Tiferes, which is beauty; Netzach, which is victory; Hod, which is glory; Yesod, which is foundation. Those are the 6 emotions. Those are what he calls on the left side here, the mechanics of the soul. And then you have Malchus, bottom. The white bit of picture of Malchus, the bottom looks like a, that looks like something that Again, radioactive. I don't know. Okay, so basically, Malchus is kingship, and which is the concept of the way the neshama comes into the physical body. Now, if you understand these concepts, before you ask the question, if you understand all these concepts, you understand why we feel very limited of our soul. And our neshama, sometimes it's extremely hard for us to connect to our souls, because the etzem and neshama is truly yichidah shebenefesh, the oneness of the soul, the infinite part of the soul, is extremely high level, and most of us don't feel that, never ever feel that part of the neshama. Even though, as the Alter Rebbe is going to say in this chapter, that every person is ultimately connected to yichidah shebenefesh, to the essence of his soul. Now you ask the question. I don't know. Don't ask me the colors. I didn't make the colors, so I cannot tell you. So I didn't make these colors up. I have no idea. I can't answer your question that I have no idea. So I didn't make these colors up, and I didn't write these English words in the middle over here. So I don't know what they mean. It was hard for me. I was trying to find something without all these colors, and I don't know.
V is a V.
Again, I cannot. I just said I did not put those English words. Did I just say that, darling? I don't think it has to do anything. I don't know. I don't know.
What's your
Hey guys, we're going into some. I said I don't want to go to that, so let's not do it. Okay, so any questions? What's going on? Any questions in what I said? Not in this. Don't get involved in colors in the English words, please. Elliot, please. Okay. You're making trouble. I'm going to send you to the principal. No, don't get. I said not to get involved because I didn't write the English words over there. So why are we getting involved in something I don't know? Okay. Okay, ready? So those are the concepts of what we'll learn over here. So the Alter Rebbe in essence says right away in the beginning of Tanya that since everything in the neshama has a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's a part of God, and which is infinite, which in essence we cannot understand what that means in truth, the concept of God's unity with the world and God's unity even with our neshama. To understand that what means that God is one with our soul is something that's above our comprehension. And therefore, that is something that it's a fact, and that's something that a Yid has to accept, that he's a chelik elakam and mal mamish, that he's a part of God. The Eibishter wants that we should understand, we should understand something of godliness and of our neshama, of our soul. So therefore, that's why we learn the concept of the three lower levels of the neshama, which is the intellect of the neshama, the emotions of the neshama, and the astral nefesh, the actual way the neshama connects to our guf, to our body. And that's why we learned that Esesphiris, that's why we learn about the 10 manifestations more in detail. In these aspects of what Arizal expressed, the 10 manifestations of God, which starts from wisdom till the Sphiris HaMalchus, till the attribute of kingship. And you'll see you'll see in Tanya in general that we emphasize the concept of Chochmah, Bina, and Das, Chabad. You're sitting in a Chabad house. So Chabad, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. What are the meaning of these three aspects? And then the next two concepts is Chesed and Gevurah. What's the concept of Chesed and Gevurah? Kindness and severity, and Tiferes and beauty. Because the foundation of the intellect is a concept of Chochmah, Bin, and Das, and the foundation of these six emotions is Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, which is kindness, severity, and beauty. And if you comprehend those two levels, will understand the emotions and the concept of intellect. And then ultimately how it comes down into Malchus in the aspect of kingship means how it's become into a reality, which if you look in the middle rung, which is called Bria Chatich, in the middle rung of this entity, we have the right, we have the left, and then we have the middle rung is Das, Tiferes, Yesod, Malchus. So that's the middle rung. So we, for example, that we call Avram Avinu is the right side, Yitzchak Avinu is the left side, and Yaakov Avinu is the middle rung. And we also call that line a line of truth. So it's, if you have knowledge, if you have beauty, if you have foundation, if you have Malchus, you got the picture. Once you have that middle rung, if you got it well, you have the makeup of your neshama, the makeup of your soul. If you can have that middle rung in essence. Okay? So again, for whatever reason, out of all these English words, he doesn't translate the actual words. So Chochmah is wisdom, Bina is understanding, Das is knowledge, Chesed is kindness, Gevurah is severity, Tiferes is beauty, that's the English translation, Netzach is victory, Hod is glory, Yesod is foundation, Malchus is kingship. And that's the English words I want to talk about, not anything else what you see over here. I didn't put those English words there, and I have no idea what they mean. Okay, so we're holding now in the Tanya, and it's important to stick with the Alter Rebbe wants us to know in these concepts of the neshama, in these aspects of the neshama itself, the 5 levels of the 5 levels of the soul, and the makeup of the soul in its makeup of its essence, its 10 manifestations. Yeah, you with me, everybody? Sort of. Which sort? Okay, I won't ask that question. So we all come from Yechidah Shebenefesh, but as the Alter Rebbe says, that is God. And the Alter Rebbe says, can you search God and find him? You cannot search God and find him, right? We're holding in the bottom right corner. Can you find God by searching him? And it is written, for my thought and not your thought. So even in the level of Yechidah Shebenefesh, even in the level of most of us, the level of Chayed, the world of emanation, the world of Atzilus, where everything is created through wisdom, is above our comprehension. It's above our comprehension. It's not comprehensible. So there are myriads of different gradation of souls, neshama, rank upon rank, ad infinitum, it's unlimited. So there are unlimited levels of neshamas, because that's where the world of souls, if you remember, the world of souls come from the world of creation. That's where it starts off, the world of souls. Even Moshe Rabbeinu, he has a reflection of his soul is in the world of emanation, but his soul, every soul comes from the world of creation. That's where everything starts in existence. So the way the neshama, the neshama is a chelek elakam imal mamish, but the way the neshama is lamaila it's not a creation. It's above creation. It's in the thought of God. That's why we express, and that's why it's hard to understand what that means. What's the meaning of that neshama? What's the meaning of that neshama? It's in the thought of God. The Alter Rebbe started at the beginning of Tanya. The Eibishter breathed within the man a soul of mine, a soul of God. And that level of that soul comes from God's essence, which is impossible for us to understand. Well, we can understand once the neshama comes down into the world of creation. Now we have a created entity. Now the neshama has an intellectual process. The soul now received its own wisdom. The neshama received its purpose, in essence, in the world of creation. That's where the process of the neshama all began. And that's where the neshama really affects us. The neshama, ruach, and especially it comes down to the next one, ruach, and ultimately comes down into nefesh. So if you understand this concept, how many levels in creation, in the wisdom of the neshama, how many different wisdoms are there? How many different capacity of wisdoms are there? We have every person, the Gemara says, no two people think the same. So there's millions and millions and billions of ways to think. They're all correct. They're all right, because there's millions upon millions of ways, the capability to think, and to have a wisdom, to have a concept of knowledge. And nobody's knowledge, that's the beauty. The beauty of knowledge is that we all have a knowledge. We all need to bring something to the table. And my knowledge and your knowledge, therefore, if you should add something. If you have a thought, thesis, then you should say it, right? As long as it's with the subject. Different gradations of soul, neshama, rank upon rank into infinite is unlimited, because the Eibishter created, again, unlimited, so to say, as which is superior to the soul of the patriarchs and Moshe Rabbeinu, our teacher, above the souls of our generation, who live in the period preceding the coming of Mashiach. Wow. So therefore, after that long period, the Alter Rebbe is talking 250 years ago. So it's a long period. It's time to come to an end, this period. Yeah. Mashiach should come already, right? Yes. But ultimately, see, in the world, I believe, they say we're getting smarter. But in Torah, we're getting stupider. Right? Yeah. So you have the patriarchs who had a great comprehension and godliness. And they were in Kabbalah, they were called the Merkava, they were chariot of God. They were totally nullified to God's wishes, and they had a deep understanding. And then you had the generation of the tribes, Shiftei Ka, they called the tribes of God. And then you had the generation of Mitzrayim. You had the generation of the Jews who left Egypt, who saw unbelievable miracles, who had revelation on Mount Sinai, who had unbelievable 40 years in the desert of great knowledge. They're called in the Gemara. They are called a generation of knowledge. And doesn't mean that didn't have their struggles as you read the parshas. Because they were great now, the more knowledge, the more struggles you have. Therefore, the Baal Shem Tov said that Mashiach's going to reveal the greatness of simple people, people that accept the pashtus. Sometimes, see, you actually see in the Torah that knowledgeable people, big tzaddikim, all tzaddikim and all great tanoim and amarayim and great sages were very humble. They were extremely humble people. Their knowledge didn't make them ego. The knowledge actually brought them humility. Because true knowledge should bring you humility. Now, if I'm a knowledgeable person, I realize how far I'm from knowledge, how much I don't know, how much I should be humble to knowledge. So therefore, as we go on, the Gemara says Tanoim. In the story of the Gemara is divided between Tanoim and Amoraim. Tanoim were the sages of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi and his colleagues, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel and Hillel and Shammai. These were Tanoim, the sages of the Mishnah. And then as generations went down, they were called Amoraim. Amoraim are the sages of the Talmud, and the sages of the Talmud said, if the sages of the Mishnah are like people, then we are like animals. Oh, now I ask you a question: if the Amoraim are animals, so we're rocks. I don't know what we consider. We're rocks. In essence, what did they mean? That we're going lower. That's why you see that the Amoraim never argue with the Tanoim, right? And for surely us, we should never argue with the Gemara, right? We're not as capable and we're not as smart as the Tanoim. So you cannot. That's why we never change anything that the Gemara says. We don't come and change anything. The Gemara, if the Gemara, the sages, you gave me eyes over there, but okay, the sages. I catch everything, Moshe. So the sages. Why? Because not that I am a sage. If I think I'm as smart as the sages, then I'm far from the aspect of understanding what smartness is. So therefore, self-understood, we have to realize that we're far from the wisdom of the sages of Tanoim, not the Amoraim, not the Shulchan Aruch, Yosef Kaira, not the Alter Rebbe, etc., etc. We're far from their wisdom, especially in Torah. I'm not talking about whatever wisdom you want to talk about, but I'm talking about Torah wisdom. Torah wisdom. Therefore, we haven't changed anything. None of the sages have changed anything that was brought down in Shulchan Aruch and code of Jewish law and the Gemara. We continue to follow their way of life. We continue to do their way. And where we see one of these things openly is with Yontif Sheni Shel Golius, right? The sages established the second day of Yontif, and we continue to do that, even though we have a calendar already, and everybody follows the same calendar. Whether they're in Israel or here, we all follow the same calendar. But why do we need Yom Tov Sheni Shel Golius? We know exactly which day is. So the answer is because that's what the sages established. That's what we continue. And what happens? Mashiach comes, and we're going to go back to the Beis Hamikdash. We'll go back to. You might be here, but you'll know it because we have WhatsApp. You don't have to have fires on the WhatsApp, so you'll be told exactly when this Chodesh is announced. The Beis Hamikdash will be alive. It'll be a live stream. So, but ultimately, right now, till Mashiach comes, we follow the sages. What the sages established, Yontif Sheni Shel Golius. Now you can give many different reasons and spiritual reasons why, but the simple reason is we don't change Teva Shetava Chachamim. We do not change what the Chachamim established 1,000 years ago, thousands of years ago. We do not change until we have a greater, we have a gathering of such an unbelievable great sages that can outrun the Anshe Knesset Agdela, the rabbis of the Great Assembly. Until then, we don't have such a kind of group, and we'll stick with that until then. Yeah.
Is this related like the second day of Yom Tov that we have to hold now? Like
Yeah, that's it. Yom Tov change again. Yeah, Yom Tov, yeah, exactly.
Completion,
That's it. We follow it because that's what's Anshe Knesset Agdela, the rabbis of the Great Assembly established in that time, and we continue that until Mashiach comes. And that's it. That's what we have, and that's what we do. That's it.
Okay.
That's the way it goes. Finished. End of discussion. Right? Don't hold yourself back. No, it's the only way you can have a discussion is you think you're smarter than the Anshe Knesset Agdela. So if I think I'm smarter than the Anshe Knesset Agdela, then I can say I'm smarter than them. I think that I can outrun them. But if I want to argue with them, gesund to hate. But if I think ultimately you have to, I always say this story. You have to. The Rebbe once said, "What's the difference between a Rav and a Rosh Yeshiva? They're both geniuses, but a Rav tells you halacha, and a Rosh Yeshiva argues halacha. The Rosh Yeshiva argues in law. The Rav tells you the law.
Yeah.
They're two different things. The Rosh Yeshiva never comes to a conclusion. The Rosh Yeshiva is the dean of the yeshiva. He never comes. That's his job, not to come to a conclusion. The Rav's job is to come to a conclusion, and they're two different jobs. And so the Rav says halacha. I was once by a Rosh Yeshiva, had a shiva, a long life, and he took a psak of a rabbi, and he argued with it for 3 hours and disproved it. And then at the end of the speech, he said, "But what do? You follow the Rav. That's what you do. What do? You follow the halacha. If the Rav paskin that way, then that's what you do. And it doesn't make a difference that I have all these issues and I can sit and we can argue, and that's my job to argue about it. But when you come, what do you follow? You follow the halacha, and that's the halacha. And the halacha is you follow what the Rav says, and that's what it is. So to argue in Torah, you should always argue, but then you have to come. What do you do in law, right? So Hillel and Shammai argued with each other, right? The Gemara, they never came to a conclusion. What was the halacha? Like Hillel, and Shammai did what Hillel said, even though he disagreed with him. That's the halacha. That's the law, right? So Divir L'Kim Chaim, that's the beauty of Torah. Torah can handle difference of opinions, and we can have difference of opinions. But when it comes to reality, we have to come to do one way. We can't do two kinds of ways. We can't do two ways. So we need to do one way.
Okay.
When I went to Poland, I came to Krakow. So there is buried the Ramah. Ramesh Islis was the one who we followed. Ramah, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Ramah. Anybody over here? No. There was a Yosef Cairo in Yosef Cairo was in Tzfas, was in Israel. He's the writer of the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law. What I want to call him is what?
Compilation.
No, the one who his Ashkenazi counterpart was Ramah Moshe Isserles.
Okay.
He lived. What?
You should have said the English.
What's the English?
Joseph Caro,
Moshe Isserles.
but the Hebrew I didn't know.
Ramah. It's an acronym. Ramah is Moshe Isserles.
I know.
So the Beis Yosef, the Beis of Cairo, you can look up when they lived. They were talking about 1,000 years ago. So these were two great leaders of the Jewish nation at that time. The Beis of Cairo, who was in Israel, the Ramah, who lived in Krakow, he's buried in Krakow. So Rabbi Yosef Karo wrote the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law. Is Rabbi Yosef Karo. He's like the big Shulchan Aruch. The big Shulchan Aruch. I have it someplace over there. The big Shulchan Aruch. My man is also. But Rabbi Yosef Karo is the Shulchan Aruch. That's known as the Code of the man is not known as the Code of Jewish Law. That was later. Shulchan Aruch. That's his next generation. Much the Alter Rebbe lived 250 years ago. So Rabbi Yosef Karo is the big Shulchan Aruch. Alter Rebbe, we follow more of Moshe Isserles, Rabbi Rama, who lived in Krakow, right? So when I came there to Krakow, I read a story there after Rama's cave. There's a story there. There's written a story there, and the story says as follows: that Moshe, just like the Rabbi Yosef Karo wrote to Shulchan Aruch in Tzfas in Israel. So did the Ramah. The Ramah was sitting in Krakow. They didn't know he sat and wrote a Shulchan Aruch. He wrote down a Shulchan Aruch, wrote a code of Jewish law. But suddenly he got the manuscripts of Rabbi Yosef Karo. He got the Shulchan Aruch. Rabbi Yosef Karo. They lived at the same time. So he got the manuscripts of his work. So the Ramah took all his work that he did, all the Shulchan Aruch, and he buried it.
Wow.
It says it's buried with him. His Shulchan Aruch is buried with him. And he said, I don't want Chas Shalom by Yidden, they should think there's two Shulchan Aruchs. That the two codes of Jewish law. Therefore, he asked that he should be put in the Beis Yosef in the Shulchan Aruch. So if you look in the Shulchan Aruch,
That Ruach HaKodesh, they were.
There is the other one. No. This is of the Beis Yosef. This is the Code of Jewish Law. You have the Code of Jewish Law, right? So this is the book, right? It's a bunch of books. This is the Beis Yosef. If you can look, right, the big words.
Yeah.
Is the Beis Yosef. This is his Shulchan Aruch. And then you'll see many times there's these small little words. I like you to see it says Haggah.
Different.
Haggah means the right word for Haggah. Footnote, yeah. That's the Ramah. See, Ramah is the footnote. The little teeny words. Right? The little teeny words is the Ramah. The footnote. The footnote of Yosef Karo.
All the stuff around it.
Different arguments and sections. But that's the Beis Yosef for there, and they have the bottom, the little Haggah. If you want to see it, you can see it. The little words is the best. So most of us go to the little words. You understand? Most of us follow the little words. Ashkenazim. That's the little words. So that's, you see, humility of a great sage, right? The humility of the Ramah, right? We could have had two Shulchan Aruchs, two codes of Jewish law. He said, and then you would say maybe there's two codes of Jews, maybe there's two Torahs. So he made that's what happened.
Then you also have the
No Harav, and then you have the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and then you have the Mishnah Berurah. There are many as the generations came down. the Shulchan Aruch, so to say, was regurgitated, explained in different ways. Okay. So let's see first. So Moses, our teacher, above the souls of our generation, that lived the period of coming Mashiach, they are called the very souls. Ikvesim Mashiach. So why are they called the souls of the souls? Ours ikvis the Mashiach. We are called the souls. Souls. I'm talking about the soles of your feet. That's what ikvis means. The soles of your feet. So we are like the soles of our feet. What walks in the ground is our soles, the roughest part of the body. So we're compared to the soles of the body. The feet compared to the brain of the head. So in every generation, there are leaders of the Jews whose souls are in category of head and brain in comparison to those that are masses of and ignorant. So you have in every generation also the concept of the brain and the foot. Likewise, are there distinctive between a nefashot and nefashot? For every soul consists of nefesh, ruach, and neshama. Every soul consists of three entities: nefesh, ruach, and neshama. There you see the three concepts of every soul. Every soul has a nefesh, which is the basic part of its soul, the ruach, which is the emotions of the soul, and the neshama, which is the intellect of the soul. So here you have so many different levels within yourself. Within yourself, you have three different compartments within yourself. You have your intellect, you have your emotions, and you have your actions, which Alter Rebbe is going to say, which ultimately is the garment of the soul. The way you think, the way you speak, the way you feel, the way ultimately you act. But the root, nevertheless, the root of every nefesh, ruach, and neshama, from the highest of all ranks to the lowest, that embody between the illiterate and the most worthless, so to say, all derive from the supreme mind, which is a chachma ilah, the supernal wisdom of God. So ultimately, it doesn't, if you want to go to the root of everything, to the root of every person, doesn't make a difference who he is. Ultimately, it doesn't make a difference who he is, whether he's the greatest sage or the biggest sinner. It doesn't make a difference. Every Jew has his root of his neshama is a chelek elokam emal mamash. Every Jew his source is a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that cannot be taken away from him. That's why it says v'amech kulam tzadikim. That's why the verse says that the entire Jewish nation are righteous. Are righteous.
Oh, are righteous.
V'amech kulam tzadikim, and my nation are all righteous. How is it possible? I see a bunch of people that are not so righteous, and I see people that are wicked, maybe. Yeah, but that's the way they are in this world. But in their essence, everybody is righteous. The truth is, it's humanity. Everybody is righteous. Everybody is a creation by God. And every entity in the world they might be the most wicked people in the world. Right?
Yeah.
You have to ultimately be able to look at everybody in that kind of way. What? The harder it is, the more important it is. If a person is really wicked, that means, truth is, according to Kabbalah, a person that's really wicked shows that he has unbelievable potential. He has unbelievable capabilities. That if he has such power to do such wickedness, it shows you that how much power that he has. right? It needs to be directed. Most of us have no power to do wickedness, Baruch Hashem. Right? We're not put in, most of us not put in the capability to do wickedness, right? Baruch Hashem, we're not powerful people. We're not not very wealthy people, influential people. So how much wickedness can you do already? You can talk about Lashon Hara. You can. What are you gonna do already? What are you gonna change? What am I gonna do already? That's is gonna affect anything. How much can I affect? Truthfully. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody can have it, but in general, what wickedness do we do already?
Yeah, not the big stuff.
We're not doing big wickedness. We're not doing big wickedness in the world. We're not doing wickedness that is partially going to affect the universe over here, and everybody. We're not going to rock the world. Okay, don't. We could, we want, but most of us are not doing wickedness that is going to transform the world. It's going to go down in history. Zalman Bukit's wickedness. It's not going to go down. It's not going to go down in history. Zalman Bukit's greatness either. I'm not saying it either way. It's not neither his greatness nor his wickedness is going to go down in any way. Whatever. But at the same moment, we have to realize that we have to look at our wickedness. That yes, it's true. That's what the Rambam says. The Rambam says everybody has to look at himself. That his good can change the world, and his wickedness can defect the world. We have to look. We cannot look that our wickedness is nothing, insignificant, or our good is also insignificant. No, we have to look. The Eibishter is looking at us, and he cares about my wickedness as he cares about somebody else's wickedness, as he cares about the wickedest person in the world. Because if we understand this concept, if we don't understand that we are all connected to God, then my wickedness is nothing comparison. That's why do you think we do wickedness? Because we always have justification. How much I'm wicked, there are more wicked people in the world, right? And what is my wickedness? My wickedness is not so bad, right? So therefore, nishkefelach. It's not the end of the world that I'm wicked. I have these little wickedness, right? I'm a little wicked, right? Correct. I'm not going to be a murderer. I'm not going to be Bernie Madoff. I'm not going to, never be a Hitler and Machshamai. So therefore, it's not so terrible. But if we are a chelik elakam imal mamash, if we are a part of God, so there's no concept to God whether you are very wicked or little wicked, or you're very righteous or a little righteous. Okay, to the Eibishter is infinite. A little righteous is as important as very righteous, and that's what the Alter Rebbe says. To the Eibishter, to the essence of my neshama, there's no difference between a tzaddik and a wicked Jew. There's no difference, because every Jew has righteousness. Right? And therefore, to the Eibishter, everybody's righteous. Because he's righteous, and because he has potential of righteousness, every person is a righteous. One mitzvah is you're a righteous person. You did one mitzvah, you're a righteous person. The Gemara says that everybody should stand up for a person who's done a mitzvah. So everybody in this room did a mitzvah. Everybody should stand up for everybody over here, right? Because if you did a mitzvah, you're righteous. Where does it say how many mitzvahs you have to do to be righteous? There's 650 mitzvahs. How many mitzvahs you must do to be righteous? Where would it say such a thing? There's no such thing. There's no such thing in the Torah, right? You do a mitzvah, you're righteous.
Wait a minute.
I'm talking good about you. Right.
That's distinction.
Right.
That is a separation.
Right. So therefore, the truth is you're righteous, you're a Beinoni, and you're wicked. There are certain things you're righteous. There are certain things you're a middleman, and there are certain things you are wicked in. But not that because you did something wicked, you're wicked. You're wicked in that concept, and you need to fix that concept. You're righteous in something else. Aren't you righteous in something else?
So,
Unless you're wicked in everything. It's highly doubt that a person's wicked in everything. Right? So there is things you're righteous. There are things that you're righteous in. And there are things we're wicked in. Lashon hara is wicked, I agree.
Yeah.
Wicked. And it's something we all do. Therefore, to our essence, we're all righteous. And the question is, once we do something wicked, does that change our essence? It's like you doing something wicked is like adding something to the situation, adding something to who I am. And get very dirty. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, so it's an added concept. It's an added concept because I cannot affect my essence. My essence is above, is infinite. My essence is a part of God, so I cannot change my essence. I can do a lot of bad things in life, and I can do tshuva that will take away the bad. That's why tshuva, the aspect of repentance, is a very important concept because we always can take away the bad. You can never get rid of the good, and you always can get rid of the bad. Get rid of the bad. That's because that you do good, that is who you are. That you do bad, that is who you're not. Because if you are in essence good, so whatever that you do good is who you are. And therefore the good can never be taken away from you. But that you do bad is not who you are. It's the total opposite way the Goyim look at the human being. So the Torah looks at every human being as good. Because he's created by God. And therefore he's good. And therefore that he does good, that's his nature. His nature is actually to do good. That he does bad is not his nature. It's something that he's added to himself. And that's why you can get rid of it.
And the Bible looked at original sin.
Original sin, we're born sin, right? Correct. So we're born in sin. We're negative to begin with. One that said before, the Rebbe, once a person wrote to the Rebbe, he said, I feel like I'm a hypocrite because I go to the shul on only Yom Kippur. I only go to shul on Yom Kippur. I'm a hypocrite, right? I'm only a Jew once a year, right? And I feel very uncomfortable. The Rebbe said, actually, no, the day you went to shul, that's when you're real. The other 364 days, you're a hypocrite. Right? The other 364 days, you're a hypocrite. Because a Jew, naturally, that's where a Jew belongs. That's where his nature is. So when you came to Shul Yom Kippur, that's when you're a Jew. That's when you acted the way you should have acted. That's your nature. That you're not acting 364 days like that, that's when you're a hypocrite. That's the meaning of this. That's the meaning. So every Jew,
or you're hiding.
Whatever, you're a hypocrite.
You don't want anyone.
Whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So this is that's in a sense. That's why, in essence, that's why it's important to know that you have a part of God within you, even though it's something that's so far above you and so far greater than you. But since it's your essence, so then you understand that living a godly or good and a healthy life is who we are, really who we are. And everything else that we do, all our hang-ups and all our mishigas and all that, that's all something that we aren't. Things that we add to our existence, which is our free choice to add those things to our existence. And then ultimately part of who we are, but it's not the essence of who we are. That's why the three levels of the Sham, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama could be affected by man. not your essence, cannot the yechida, chai yechida, the essence of your soul cannot be affected by man. But your nefesh, shuch, neshama could be affected by man. So if I continue to think things that are not good and are negative, it ultimately affects my neshama, the soul of my soul. If I have emotional negativity, it affects the ruach of my neshama. And if I chas v'shalom do negative things, it affects the nefesh of my neshama. That's why the neshama needs to. That's why I need to do tshuva. I need to clean the neshama that I while it's here. The best things to do while it's here. But nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe nevertheless wants to tell us that ultimately it all is perfect. It's all perfect. In essence, it's all perfect. It never changes perfection. You cannot ultimately affect the essence of the soul. And therefore, Yisrael, Afal Pi Shachata Yisrael, a Jew that sins is still a Jew. Nothing has changed in that he is, and he's a tzaddik. He's not just a Jew, he's a tzaddik. We're all tzaddikim. Yeah? That's the way you need to look at it. The man of this, so the Alter Rebbe gives us an analogy. So the man of descent is analogous to a son who is derived from his father's brain, as we said before. And even the nails of his feet come from existence from the very same drop of semen. By being in the mother's womb for 9 months, descending degree by degree, changing continuously until even the nails are formed from it. Yet, from all this process, it's still bound in the united with a wonderful and essential unity with the original essence of and being, which is that drop, as it came from the father's brain. And even now, in the son, the nail receives its nourishment and life from the brain that's in the head. So ultimately, everything the son receives every aspect from his brain, which is connected to the father's brain. As it's written in the Gemara in Nida, that from the white of the father's drop of semen are formed the veins, from the bones and the nails. And it's brought down Eitz Chaim, is like we say the connection to esoteric principles of other garments in Gan Eden, that there were garments where the nails derived from the cognitive faculty of the brain. Says that before the sin he looked like his flesh was opaque. Was that the right word? Translucent, right? Oh, that's a fancy. That's see-through. It was like nails. It was like Adam. So it was like a shield upon him. So he shone like this. He shone like the sun. So it's actually brought down to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, his face, it was sun like the sun, like the sun. His neshama shined from his face. Came through his face. Right? So his soul, right? So they couldn't look at him, right? People couldn't look at him. He had to wear a burqa. Really? Yeah. He wore a cover, as I state. The Torah says.
This is after he came down.
Right. So he gotta.
Sunburn.
That's where the Goyim think that. That's the picture. But that's not the right. It doesn't say. It said because you see the Goyim translated the pasuk wrong. It says Karen Eiponav, that it shined a face. They said Karen means horns. So Karen, they took the word. And they said it means horns, but it self-understood he didn't have horns. His face shined. His face shined.
The question you mentioned Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
We learned here that Eve was in his rib.
All right, let's not get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
They were back to back.
There are different interpretations to that whole story. So,
when she said that.
So too, I want to finish it. So as it were, actual truth, the root of the nefesh, ruach, and the shama of the community of Israel on high are descending degree by degree through the extent of the world of emanation, the world of creation, the world of formation, and the world of action. There do you see those four worlds? It's in your picture, your thing over here. There's four worlds, and that's the way the neshama travels from the world of infinite world to the world of emanation, to the world of creation, to the world of formation, and ultimately to the world of action. Where they all come from the wisdom of the holy, blessed be He, as is written, you have made them all with wisdom. Nefesh and Ruach are unworthy, come into being. Everything comes into being through that. The difference is that the generations went away. We moved that away from wisdom. It's just distance from wisdom. It's not that that there's no wisdom. It's we're very far from wisdom. As history went, that's why they were called the Gemara, the generation who went out of Egypt in the desert, were called a Dur Deya, a generation of great wisdom, great knowledge. They are knowledgeable generation. Today, we are more of an ignorant generation. Today, imagine if in those days they had all these capabilities of all these books. Imagine they were a great generation of wisdom. They had no books, no internet, no books, no Google. Unbelievable. And they were great wisdom. And today we have all these capabilities, and most of us are ignorant. If you ask a person a pasuk, the Torah, they won't even know it. They won't even know the meaning of the pasuk. What's the meaning, the simple meaning of the verse? So it's explained in English. It's translated. You can go and read it. Everything is translated here in English. We're still ignorant. We're ignorant because we don't learn. We're not ignorant because we're stupid people. We don't learn. We're too busy. We don't sit and try to study and comprehend everything that we learn. So self-understood doesn't change the truth, ultimately. Nothing changes the truth. Because actually it says that Moshe Rabbeinu, and with this, Moshe Rabbeinu was embarrassed of this generation. The Gemara says Moshe Rabbeinu was embarrassed of this generation. When the Eibush showed him the generation of Ix and Mashiach, and the Eibush showed him this generation of the generation of the hill, he said, wow, that's truly a great generation. Because we had great knowledge. We had great revelation. And we still struggled with God, right? We still struggled, right? Look at the last week's parsha, this week's parsha. Struggling with God is not a new thing. Don't think that you're special, that you have a challenge. Nobody should think over here that they're very special, that they have challenges with God and with the authority and with Moshe Rabbeinu. Let's read this week's parsha. So you didn't struggle with God. But the real question is that they struggle with God as very smart people. That's a shocking situation that they struggled with God. What? They still struggle. We don't see no miracles. We don't see revelation. We don't see great things, and we still have a munah. We follow the Eibishter, and we struggle with him. At the end of the world, we struggle with him, and we struggle with him because we don't see great revelation. How can you not struggle with that concept if we don't see great revelation? So Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Wow, I'm jealous of this nation that don't see great revelations, and still, even in their struggles, they keep on to stick with. They keep on trucking. They keep on going. They keep on hanging in there, and they hold on to the truth, even though they don't see the truth. They don't have a Beis Hamikdash. They don't even see revelation at all in their lives, and they keep to learning and they keep to studying, and they don't give up the struggle. So we should never give up the struggle, even though we struggle with it, because none of us see Chiddush Nefesh. None of us ever touch the essence of our soul. And most of us only touch the nefesh of our soul. Most of us really only touch the nefesh. the lowest level of the soul. We touch the nefesh that we feel that we're living. That's the nefesh, that we feel we're alive. We know that without a nefesh, even though we have a body, without that energy, we're not here anymore. That nefesh also is gonna one day, Mashiach doesn't come, is one day gonna move on. So that we all know. We all feel the nefesh. We all feel that soul that gives us life. And we go to funerals and we realize that the nefesh will one day not be here. So that we feel, and nevertheless, even though that little nefesh keeps us going, that little nefesh pushes us to do what is right. That little nefesh tells us we shouldn't give up. That little spark, the pintel yid, that little nefesh gives us everything we have. Imagine if we would become more emotionally involved in Yiddishkeit and Torah, if we become more intellectually, how much that nefesh would inspire us. How much that nefesh, if we just bring in a little bit more of the ruach and the neshama of a yid, of myself, I would only connect more to my ruach, how much that would give us. If this little spark pushes me, how much more if my intellect would push me, how much more my emotions would push me. That's what the Alter Rebbe wants to accomplish. We should all, we should all waken up a little bit of our intellect, learn more, connect more intellectually, and become more emotionally involved in Judaism. You can imagine what that would accomplish in your life. And that's the journey of the Tanya, my friends. Have a good day, everybody, and Zoom, Facebook. See you again.
Considering we have so many